Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. We're going to do a few more books today just because I need to review them and then I'm going to be passing them on. And this book, Boundless, I can't even pick it up with my left hand. So I wanted to get this done because it's going to be even worse next week. So we're going to talk about Boundless by Ben Greenfield, big giant book that I've recently finished. We're going to talk about Suck on This Year, Denis Leary, another little book that I just read, and we're going to talk about this one, Washington, D.C., a book that I just finished. So those are the books today, just to encourage you to read. Newsletters going out later today. Get signed up at enjoylifesafely.com. That'll give you something good to read. Tips on staying safe, defending yourself, enjoying life, and being exceptional. Go to enjoylifesafely.com. Get on that list. Let's look at Washington, D.C. This was just a short little book that I had on the bookshelf it was all pictures. And, beautiful pictures of different sites in Washington, D.C. Most of the places I've seen. Some of these are taken from the air, so I didn't get the view that some of these pictures, had, but I've seen most of these things. And it was fun just to go through this book and reminisce about my different times in Washington, D.C. City I'd like to go back and see more of. There's some beautiful things and some history there that's pretty cool. So I read through that little book that I had on the shelf. Also had Suck on This Year on the shelf. I think I got this when it first came out a few years back. Probably read it really quick then. I read it really quick now, because this is just a book of tweets, or X now, but it was tweets when he wrote this. So there's just a lot of pictures and tweets that Denis Leary did. And so, it's okay. Some of them make you chuckle, some of them, I really like Denis Leary, but this book was just okay. Not one I can really recommend since it's just a book of tweets. And again, some of them funny, some of them not as much. So even though I really like Denis Leary and I like a couple of the other books I have by him, and I like a lot of his TV and movies, this book was Then we got this giant thing, and I won't even be able to pick up next week. I can't even pick it up with the left hand right now. And so, Boundless, Upgrade Your Brain, Optimize Your Body, and Defy Aging by Ben Greenfield. As you can see, it's a huge book, a ton of stuff in here, but so much of it would be very difficult for most people to apply. Cost prohibitive, some things you got to go out of the country. So, there's a ton of information, research and different things, but some of the stuff here just, I'm not going to be spending the money on the gadgets or the supplements or the procedures and things that he's saying will do this or that. So I found it interesting. I found some of the stuff that's like, okay, but just I found a lot of it that was like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend the money on that. And so that's, again, I found it interesting, but it's just not a top book that I'd say, yeah, you got to have this and follow it to the T, because most people are not going to be able to follow a lot of the things he talks about in here just because of cost prohibitiveness, location, and different things to do it. So interesting book, but not my favorite book on health and optimizing your brain and body and so forth. Good morning, Thad. Appreciate you being here and saying hello. Good morning, Samuel. Appreciate you being here and saying hello. Dixon's here too. Dixon said, what? Book review Sunday? That's a new twist for Coffee with Alain. Yeah, as I said at the beginning, Dixon, I'm actually doing a load of books to the used bookstore and then donation before I have the surgery and won't be able to pick up stuff, and I have the arm in a sling and just going to be more difficult then. So I wanted to get these 3 books reviewed and in that trip that's going. So especially this big sucker. I said, I can't even pick this book up with my left hand. And so it's like just trying to deal with those before the surgery happens and, getting some house cleaning done and some things wrapped up before that. And so that's why we had a special edition on Sunday. Samuel says, were you ever in law enforcement? No, Samuel, I wasn't. I was in the military. I have a law degree, and I was a prosecutor in the prosecutor's office for a while. So you work with law enforcement when you're prosecuting. I did security for many years where I was working alongside law enforcement. And I was on a team teaching active shooter response to places. And we taught thousands of people that team. And majority of the team were law enforcement. I was one of the only non-law enforcement teaching. And then I went off to wrote my book and taught my own. So I have worked with law enforcement. I have friends that are law enforcement, but I have never been a sworn officer myself. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you all for your support. Again, 3 books. Suck on this year, Denis Leary. Just a bunch of his tweets. I mean, even if you're a huge Denis Leary fan, I found it, Washington, D.C., some beautiful pictures of Washington, D.C., a place that has some wonderful places to visit and see. Boundless, a ton of information, but a lot of it going to be very expensive and difficult for people to implement. That's what I got for you today. Just wanted to share those books as they go into the donation pile as I'm trying to get ready for surgery this week and do some things. Appreciate everybody's support and comments. Appreciate everybody watching this later on replays or listening to the podcast. Be sure to sign up at enjoylifesafely.com and get on that newsletter list. Check out the different resources for you at that website. Make it a spectacular Super Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow.